A few other sort of movements along the assistant coordinator. This one also an internal promotion. Matt Wells, new offensive coordinator for Kansas State. He steps into that role as we spent a lot of time, not a decent amount of time at the end of Thursday's show, talking about Avery Johnson and sort of the way things are going to be moving forward. He had already stepped in as a part of that staff. Tom, any big reaction to or thoughts on that for what it could mean for the Wildcats?
I mean, I think it helps with continuity in that you're not going outside and getting somebody else in. You're having somebody who was part of that offense last year. I think it's just I think it's good probably in a sense for the development of Avery Johnson, in that you're not bringing in a new voice, teaching him new things. You've got somebody who's familiar with him, who was working with him last year. So I look at it as a positive, if not like a big time needle mover move.
It's a good coach. We get it. Let's see. Hold on.
Probably got a bit of a raw deal. I think you just
it's like Texas Tech, Kansas State. When is the next time they play on the field?
Mm-hmm. He definitely got a raw deal at Texas Tech. He had them playing pretty well. There was a faction, somebody with a lot of money had a lot of influence, watered him out, so he got sent out. I think he's a really good football coach. He's done a good job with quarterbacks. I know him. Talked to him a few times. Covered him. I think it's a good move.
November 1st, Texas Tech at Kansas State. Matt Wells revenge game. Circle it.
Remember it for Locks Pod.
Pre-lock. What's it? FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. What's my blind bet?
Mikey, make a note.
What's my blind bet on Kansas State? Team total over against Texas Tech on November the 1st. Marshall Faulk joins Colorado as a running backs coach.
That's 3 Hall of Famers on the coaching staff now.
It's because you go Dion, Sapp, and Faulk.
Sapp and Marshall, yeah.
I did not know that this is where Marshall wants to go with this, but all right.
So don't you think so? Obviously, Dion, this is kind of his thing, right? He's doing this. These players all run in the same circles, right? It's the most illustrious fraternity in the sport. So they're at a lot of events together. They talk. So I'm sure even when Dion was at Jackson State, they start this process like, hey, what are you doing? Man, that's a lot of work. Are you sure you want to do this? And Dion's probably like, no, it's not. Man, I'm having fun. I'm having a blast. So Warren Sapp, and if you notice too, Warren Sapp started showing up before he actually signed on. So he gets a feel for the atmosphere, for the energy. And my hunch is that these players would say, man, I don't know. The hours are long and I don't want to have to recruit all off season. Well, guess what? Dion's already made it pretty clear. I'm not traveling around the country sitting at everybody's point. You don't have to if you're Marshall Faulk or Warren Sapp. They'll come to you. So I think they're looking at it from the same standpoint where they've got sort of a different role that they play on the team, and they don't have to necessarily grind the way some coaches do on the recruiting trail. And so they find it attractive, and it's great for Dion. It's great for the brand. He leans into it and they'll sell it like, hey, we got 3 gold jackets, and it'll work for some players. Yeah, absolutely.
So in the, the coach, shadow coach, recruiter. But in that sense, we're looking at Colorado's coaching staff. And I would think that the experience that they bring means that you are there to coach them up and coach up that roster. I mean, that's not, if Marshall Faulk's not going to be hitting the trail, then he's got to be closing deals, or he's got to be like really helping develop these players and being able to teach them the intricacies of the game. Right.
Yeah. And I think, I don't recall Marshall having been out, but Dion was, pretty affiliated with the Under Armour stuff before he took the Jackson State job. So he would be at some camps, and certainly would have been at like the Under Armour stuff that we have here in Orlando for the game. Dion, I don't recall Faulk being there, but I do think you could pretty quickly figure out like who enjoys coaching and like who's really getting after it, and who's just like, hey man, my guy asked me to be out here, so I came out here to support. But there's a pretty palpable difference between some of these retired guys who actually enjoy the coaching aspect and who don't. You can tell. So I'm sure Dion's had conversations with Faulk like, hey, like, this is real. Like, if you want to come here, you got to coach. You really, we're about it. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, 100%.
You wore my Colorado colors to support today. Look at that.
Hey, look at that. Shane jumped in. He wanted to hear about the Marshall Faulk at Colorado. It is definitely a lot of great experience and sort of just a wealth of institutional knowledge that he can provide to that coaching staff and to the players there in Boulder. This one also came in from Jerry in the tailgate. Can Belichick kids coach, or is this straight up nepotism? I thought, Steve Belichick, got a nice track record. You went through, but no. We got another Belichick, baby. Brian Belichick comes to join the North Carolina coaching staff. Sure. Right.
Nepo Carolina.
Yeah, that's what the N in UNC. That's what it stands for.
Is football? I mean, I want to say it's the worst, but this is life, isn't it? I mean, isn't every business have nepotism in it? I mean,
Yes.
I know it's in broadcasting. I know it's in the NFL. It's all over. It's in business. It's in franchising. I mean, it's in everything. You look out for your kids. This is just the latest example. I do think the ones that can coach, they figure it out. Now they get a leg up. They get the opportunity, but they do make the most of it. I think like Kyle Shanahan's done a phenomenal job. Still remains to be seen. And a guy like Brian Schottenheimer, who just got that gig. Eventually, you're either going to get found out one way or another. You can either do it or you can't. Now, do they get the opportunity ahead of everybody or a lot of people? Yes. So we'll find out. I don't know if he can coach, but we'll see.
I mean, he has coached before, correct? Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it was weird because it's like, oh yeah, he has another son. I completely forgot about it.
Right. So we've got Michael Lombardi, general manager, and then Matt Lombardi, offensive assistant. We've got Bill Belichick, the head coach of the team. We've got Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator. And now we've got Brian Belichick. This is, by the way, our very own Matt Zenitz, who's stud. He's the one who got out there with the report and brought it to my attention. To my knowledge, North Carolina has not finalized exactly what his job is going to be on the staff. So that is TBD. If it is working with the defensive backfield, you're going to be talking about a group that is bringing over a couple players from Washington, a couple players from Minnesota, Gavin Gibson from ECU. It is a brand new secondary there for North Carolina's defense. So it is going to be important to be able to get somebody in there that can get everyone on the same page. Will he be found out? Let's say we'll find out when they have to defend Josh Hoover on Labor Day in Chapel Hill. Congratulations. You play TCU right out the gate.
Just another fun fact, by the way, because now that both of his sons are on his staff at North Carolina, and a reminder that his oldest child, his daughter Amanda, is the head coach of the women's lacrosse team at Holy Cross. So the entire family is coaching.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The girlfriend?
No, say it. Say it.
Yeah.
How does that fall in line here? She's younger than all of them, right?
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
And she was wearing an Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl champions shirt.
Yes, she was.
And she was in the Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Yep.
Right next to him.
Amazing.
Yep.
I mean,
you saw the jokes about the ring years?
What?
You saw the jokes about the ring years when Belichick had a whole handful of rings?
What?
Somebody on Twitter said, do you think he wore the O2 to celebrate the year of her birth?
It's good. Good stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing times we live in.
What if she is? That's a good point from Donnie. What if she's installed as the recruiting director? There's a lot of attractive young ladies that are in that role at a lot of schools that do really well.
Anything else on? Bud, Notre Dame's got its general manager replacement. What's on your note card for?
They went and got James Blanchard from Texas Tech. There've been a lot of kind of reports that he had like full control over the Texas Tech roster, and Texas Tech really kind of more of a bifurcated approach where like the coaches coach and the front office kind of does front office type stuff. It's obviously pretty mixed results. Like I like Joey McGuire just fine, but I guess I'm the hater on this pod because I just don't see the actual like results to justify all the media hype that everybody in the state of Texas seems to love giving those guys. No, like nothing against them. I just like, okay, like cool. They go 7-5, whatever. But I think this is a nice replacement because remember, they lost their assistant GM to USC. So, and Blanchard gets 1.5 over 3. So that's a nice.
Wait, I thought he was staying at Tech.
Wait, really? I read that it was 1.5 over 3 on ESPN.
3 days ago, Texas Tech general manager James Blanchard turns down Notre Dame. Yeah, he turned him down. He stayed at Tech.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I was sitting next to other guys in the crowd at the convention when they were like, he took this thing. I was like, wow. Okay, so 1.5. Texas Tech kept him.
Listen, great win for Texas Tech. Hey, here we go.
Yeah.
Listen, Joey McGuire,
Wow, okay.
when you're 23-16 across your 3 years at Texas Tech, how many of those 23 wins was as good as being able to hold on to your guy? James?
Oh, the chat saying he accepted the offer and then walked it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't see much.
I was sitting next to
weekend.
other coaches. Yeah, at the convention. Like, wow, look at this.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see much of anything this weekend, but I do remember that.
So the Joey McGuire has not the same, but in somewhat of the same vicinity of a 3-year sample size as Sonny Dykes. It's just that Joey McGuire has been like this, and Sonny Dykes was like, woo! And then, sort of like calm down after that. Sonny Dykes 27-13, Joey McGuire 23-16. Joey McGuire 16-11 in Big 12 play over a 3-year run. So I think that they're just happy for the consistency and somebody who wants to stay. That's probably what's giving them all the happy feels in Lubbock. So we'll see.
Going to be great 8-4.
Yeah. Speaking of rumors, it feels like Neil Brown is possibly going to happen to Virginia Tech.
That's a great hire.
Is OC?
Yeah.
For OC.
Good hire.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's a very, very good hire for Brent Pry, a coaching staff that I think needed. That team was too talented to have the results that they had. They had a lot of shortcomings in games where they played, where they could have won, should have won. And I know a lot of Virginia Tech fans were very frustrated with the coaching and sort of the way that things went during the year. So I think Neil Brown's a plus addition to that staff for sure.
Jawan Sider reportedly leaving Penn State for the Irish. So I think a very nice get for Marcus Freeman. Good running back coach, really good recruiter in the state of Florida.
A lot of big money assistant poaching going on in the Rust Belt these days.
There is.
I mean, this is it's that time of year. We have that National Signing Day might have not been a big deal, but it at least does sort of signify the beginning of this time of year where a lot of those staffs do end up changing over. A lot of moves are made before we get everybody set and locked in for spring practice.